Oh, hey, welcome to the Tendo Show. We're going to get in as much as a podcast as we can today. I don't know how far we'll get because we're waiting on this phone to ring because on the way home from thrifting yesterday, matter of fact, on the way home from the bins, we popped a tire on our smart car. And we were lucky enough to pop it right outside of a discount tire place, but other than that, not really a lucky situation, which kind of buries the lead, Hannah, because I was going to ask you how your week was.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's a pretty okay week, but that was like a sour button at the end of the week there.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't the greatest thing. It honestly could have been worse, though. I had never replaced the wheels on our smart car. And if you don't know, our regular daily driver car is a tiny little itty bitty smart car with wheels the size of wagon wheels, or like little kitty wagon wheels. Like
Yeah.
it looks like what is the Fisher Price car?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I was gonna say it looks like an adult big wheel kind of situation.
This little tight,
that.
the little tight cozy. Matter of fact, someone posted this on our Discord the other day. Someone took their smart car and painted it like one.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'd rather drive that than my car. But tires popped and but they told us if they didn't call us by noon to call them, and it's 11:20 a.m. at the moment, so we're going to pretty much finish this podcast and call them and head over there. But I think we're going to be all right. It only cost us $200 to get 2 new tires on it, which is actually cheaper than when I replaced the wheels last on my Scion. Of course, it's not as cheap. It's not as expensive as our big van wheels, which coincidentally I popped a tire on our bread truck last week. But I saw that one coming. That was those tires were wearing really thin, and the tires on our smart car, I can't say I didn't see it coming entirely. We drove the smart car cross country, which is a lot of people would think was crazy, but like amongst smart car owners, like it's a very popular thing to take road trips in them because they are capable. It's not as bad as you would think. But that's where we're at right now. We're waiting on that. I will say though, it's created some interesting experiences. I hadn't had to take an Uber. When was the last time we took an Uber? We popped a tire on our Scion.
Yeah. Well, no, we didn't even take an Uber that time because
did.
we drove home in the tow truck.
But the last time we took an Uber was one of the times we popped the Scion tire. We were over by Raising Cane's. And
oh yeah,
we waited for the Uber to come pick us up in this giant, like, I don't know, this giant, like where I don't know, it was like an industrial field.
Yeah.
And what did we do? I think because that time we didn't call a tow truck, we went and got, I guess, our other vehicle. I don't know what we did, but
yeah, I think we had the black van at that time too, so I think we
had to
drove
go get it
home and got the black van and went and took care of everything we needed to do.
Yeah, that one sucked. I think that was well before we had this channel, and we were way too broke to pay for a paycheck, pay for a tow truck, which is funny because then this time, thank God, we're doing way better than we were a couple years ago, and we were just able to leave it at the shop overnight and say we'll Uber home and come back and get it. And that's I'll tell you now, I'm pretty thankful. Because that time was pretty miserable because we were like even paying for the Uber was just like, man,
Yeah.
it's 20. We might just walk, and we definitely couldn't have walked today, even if we were trying to pinch pennies. We couldn't have walked yesterday or today because it's like 110 degrees. It's
I think we were like
heat.
20 miles or so away from the house, so it was not an option.
Yeah, but. Our smart car is getting brand new tires on it, and the front tires on it are good, so I don't have to worry about it too much. It's just while we're still on the topic of tires, though, I'll tell you another predicament we had, and I don't know how much we've talked about this, Hannah, but our bread truck, which is it gets a good bit of driving because twice a week, we have to go stock antique malls. We usually drive the bread truck to do it. It sucks not having it right now because we got a lot of restocking to do. But I also still have our old black van sitting in our driveway, and it has the same exact size tires on it. Matter of fact, a brand new set. So, it would be it's not even an issue of money. It's just an issue of ridiculousness. It would just be way too much work to, like, tow the black van somewhere and get all the tires changed. Plus, the bread truck's a dually, which means there's 4 wheels on the back, and that just... it becomes more expensive to have that stuff changed. So like I'm doing this like weird mathematical calculation in my head to like take one tire off at a time and take it somewhere and get one tire switched over, and it's just a mess. I'm like, this week is going to be a week of tires is what I'm getting at. Just I'm going to be worried about tires all week.
You're going to be tired at the end of the week.
I just want that bread truck ready to go, because as a lot of you know, we bought the bread truck to be a camper, and we will still continue to use it as such from time to time. But what's funny is, as hard as we went making our bread truck into a camper on our main channel, which you can go back, go learn. You got to learn to search our channel, right? So go to Tendo channel, just search Tendo on YouTube, and search bread truck or search Tendo camper conversion or some of these things, and you'll get like 10 videos in a row you can watch. But what's funny is when we turned our first van into a camper, it was like I was very adamant it has to stay modular so things can come out so we can still use it as a hauling vehicle. And now that winter's coming back around, which is opposite is how it is for a lot of you, hard work time for us here is winter time.
Yeah.
You can't stand to do anything in the heat here during the summer. So winter's coming back around, and I'm looking forward to putting a little bit more effort into our antique malls and things like that. So I want to so bad to get the bread truck up and going and built right before the winter gets here. So I've got all our camper stuff removed, and I've like attached some new like hooks for tools and moving crates, because we're gonna start doing a little bit more furniture and stuff when the winter comes. So it's just the worst time for that tire to pop on that van, on the bread truck, because we're very much so ready to use it for its intended purpose, which is hauling things.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we did see it coming. When we bought the van originally, we noticed that the tires were not in the best shape,
Yeah.
so it was about time.
and then we immediately took a 2,000-mile trip in it, which wore them down the rest of the way. So it is time. I got to get that done now, because, well, the other van that the tires are on that have the same size tires is inoperable, so like it's just I got to get rid of it. So I need to do all this, and then it leaves another problem. I can't just take the tires off and leave it, because it has to be movable. So it just creates a big problem. If you're in the Phoenix area and you know somebody that would like to haul away an old Ford van and a not so old Toyota Scion XB in exchange for simply keeping all of it but putting the tires off the van onto another van, give him my information or send him this way. I only say that because like we have 2 cars that are inoperable. We have our black van and we have our Toyota, and they've been sitting in our driveway, and our Toyota gets notes on it like once a week. I think it's the tow guy that recognizes it hasn't moved. We've had a dozen notes that are like, if you want to sell this vehicle, even if it doesn't work, here's my number. I mean, it's happened like 6 times, 6 different names. So we've got the last guy that did it, we've got it laying around. I was just thinking about this today. I need to call that guy and say, if you'll tow both of these vehicles and change some tires for me, you can have it. Like, I'll give you both signed titles, notarized titles, and it'll just be over. Because I mean, even though our Toyota is inoperable, it's still a popular car for repair. It's still got enough value for that to be worth it. But unfortunately, not every tow place is just going to have the tire equipment laying around. Some will, so I'm hoping I can find someone to just make my whole tire nightmare go away, and I'll be clear of 2 vehicles that I otherwise need to get rid of. I mean, if not, really what's going to happen is, if you're unaware, there's, people make a living out of simply paying $100, a couple $100 for people's junk cars that they can't do anything with, and either parting them out, or they might have a pull parts yard, and that's how they supply their their vehicle lot. Or some people just do it car by car and repair them and flip them and make good money. I've known people personally back home that do all of these things. So, at the very worst, I'll flip that Scion for like $600, and I'm going to take that money and then I can probably give away the black van or something, or someone will probably scrap it for a couple $100, and I'll take that money and I'll probably put a whole set of new tires, as well as buy a power steering pump for our bread truck, which isn't out, but it needs to be replaced soon. So that's where we're at this week. That's the only thing on my mind. We've got to finish this week's videos, and I've got to get our vehicles back into tip-top shape because they're both just like not very happy right now. And that's how it happens, though, isn't it? It all happens at once.
Yeah. If it rains, it pours, as they say, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I really, 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 really want to get that van running, though, because it's just when it's wintertime and you don't have to worry about AC and heat and all that stuff, it is the most magnificent thing to drive, and there's so much room in it. Not to mention, to be completely honest with you, and you guys that are watching, especially if you've migrated to this channel from our regular channel, might be able to level with us on this one, but our house during the summertime gets so overrun because it's too hot to even just drive over to the storage unit, right? I mean, 110 degrees, I don't want anything to do with it. Personal preference. So our house starts to get cluttered. I mean, there's like 4 IKEA bags there, and there's, it looks nice and neat in here because everything's below us, but like there's just kind of a row of IKEA bags here, and then we have a whole workshop room full of IKEA bags, and it's all stock. And that's about how much stock we have at once, whether that be saving stuff up for eBay resale or stock to put in our antique malls. We've got a lot laying around, and that'll be better in the winter because a lot of that stuff we can thrift while we're in the bread truck, leave it in the bread truck, drive the bread truck the next day to our antique mall, and just price it, and it just never has to come home. So I look forward, like this is technically our third year going into reselling at all. Of course, it's way more serious than the first year, but it's only our second year of doing it on YouTube. So, like, it's kind of funny because I just feel like for the first time I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so that's the importance of having that van running. Like, I'm excited. I'm going to kind of build these modular, removable containers and stuff into the bread truck, and we're just going to be able to thrift and just be like, toys in here, toys in there, and when it's not so hot, we can sit outside of our antique malls in the bread truck and just slap stickers on stuff and carry it in, and things are just going to operate so much more smoothly. I'm very much so looking forward to it. Plus furniture. You guys may not know this, but before we got into reselling on our main channel, furniture was a big part of what we did. I'd pick up futons on the side of the street, steam them, clean them, stitch some rips on the undersides or cushions back together, and just sell them for pretty surprisingly large amounts of money sometimes. So I'm very much so looking forward to that. But seriously though, aside from the cars and stuff, Hannah, how was your week?
I feel like it was I don't know, I keep thinking back to yesterday whenever I think about the week. That was probably one of the best thrifting days I had in a little while. That video will be Sunday, so I don't want to give away too many spoilers. Yeah. But we went to the bins, and I had a really good day with that. We did Half Off Monday, which was the video for Thursday.
Last Thursday, yeah.
How did you feel like that went?
Well, it was all good. It's kind of been a weird time because we've, on our main channel, been posting one video a week, and then I was like, well, let's try 2, and now I'm kind of like in between whether or not it's worth the extra effort for the second, and it ultimately is. I'll tell you what I hate. I hate that the day is 7 weeks, 7 days. The week is 7 days. Not that I'm wishing more days of the week on any of us, but like when it comes to the YouTube pattern for posting, it's 3 days and then 2 days and 3 days, and honestly, it's not an easy thing to get into a rhythm for, and I'm kind of not liking it. So, but I don't know. YouTube, the way YouTube works right now. Pro tip, guys. To keep the algorithm happy, that's what you got to do. 2 videos a week, 3 days, 2 days. Or, well, I keep saying 3, too. I mean, I know that's 5, but it's like you remove the 2 days that you actually post, and there's 3 in between and then 2 in between. And I don't like that unevenness. It's not working very well for me. But because, like, we're kind of just what's happening right now is it's like, oh, it's time to post a video tomorrow. We'll go thrift today. So it's turned, those 2 days a week that we're making videos have turned a little bit more back into how things used to be with our daily posting, where we're just doing it, editing it, and it's up. And that's not why I stopped doing daily. I stopped doing daily videos on our channel because I very much so wanted to have time to edit things over the course of several days and make higher quality content. So it's just something I got to figure out. That's my only problem in life right now. So I have no real complaints. But at least, though, despite me struggling with that all week, at least the thrifting was good, as you were saying. Half off day we hadn't done in quite some time, and I found quite a bit of good stuff for our antique malls. And then, Ben's trips have been pretty good lately, which is lucky because I've got a lot of friends in the thrifting community, both here and other places, and I've been hearing a lot of people not having the best Goodwill Ben's trips lately. Partially because some people it's the quality of what they find, but some people it's been just like their experience there. I matter of fact, we'll get into this a little bit. Let's talk a little bit of bins on today's episode. Did I tell you about the person's car?
No.
Oh my gosh, I got a message in my inbox. I'm not going to show it to you on the screen because I don't want to dox the person. I'll see if I can find an okay image of it, but this is just one of many stories from the last few weeks, but a friend of mine was telling me a while back about some crazy stuff they had heard happen at the Goodwill Bins and like cars. Well, let me back up even further. And this goes for good. This is just kind of it's not because it's Goodwill or because it's the Bins or anything like this. As much as we've thrifted around the country, this has just happened at certain places, other bins and stuff. You hear about people's cars getting broke into because someone saw somebody find something that they wanted, so they went and stole it outright. That sucks. That's a terrible situation. But I've heard that a bunch. As a matter of fact, we've walked outside of our own bins and we've seen windows busted open. Thankfully, to the best of my knowledge, we've never been broken into or stolen from. You would think you would know. I mean, you definitely know if your window was busted, but we haven't ever had that. But who knows if someone's broken into our vehicles other ways and stole something they wanted. But I got a message on Instagram the other day, right, from this person, and they said that what happened, it's actually a little bit different than I think. I was going to tell it. I was just going to say I got a message and told me this, but the truth is, what happens a lot on Instagram is people message me and I don't get it right away. It takes a long time because unless I follow you, and this is a good note for a lot of you, if you're going to choose to message me on Instagram, your message is very, very likely to go to like my spam box, right? And that's a bummer. But I only check it every couple of weeks or so because it's a lot. Every time I do, it's 30, 40, 50 messages. And it's very often just people wanting to show me what they got at the thrift and things like that. And that's why I often say on like our videos all the time, I say, message me on the Discord. It's going to be a lot easier to get used to a hold of me on the Discord, right? So that's just a little tip. If you ever want to talk to us, show us something, go join our Discord. But it happens a lot on our Instagram. Just tons and tons of messages. So what happened was this person didn't just message me to tell me this. They messaged me to ask about our Goodwill Bins because they wanted to go for the first time here in town. And so that's a message I completely welcome. And very often when I do get it, we'll respond. But it was like 2 weeks later. I was like, hey, sorry for the late reply. I hope you were able to go. I hope you had a good time. And then I answered the questions she did have, just in case maybe she hadn't went yet. And so I was like, and then it was like maybe the next day she messaged back, and I'll go ahead and show you the message. I'm sorry, I was a little kind of distracted. I had to crop it out. I didn't want to show her name or anything. But she said to me, hey, no worries. Yes, I drove out and spent the day there. I found so much good stuff, which is good start. But when I got into my car at the end of the day, someone had stolen the catalytic converter from under the car. I couldn't believe it. Apparently, it's becoming more common and it's expensive to fix. I'm still waiting on a part. Be careful where you park. If I go again, which I would love to, but I'm hesitant about this happening again, I'll park right up near the door. It's a shame because that place is a gold mine. I hope you guys are doing well.
That's crazy.
Well, yeah, it sucks too, and it sucks that we kind of have to talk about it because I don't want to make it sound like a bins thing. I don't think these people are driving to the bins and just doing that there. She just had the extremely bad luck to end up there, and that's where this predator was driving around. And now I certainly know a little bit more about cars and mechanics than the average person, though I'm in no way a mechanic or anything. But like, I'm the guy who's a lot of my friends call and like, how you fix this, how you do that, or what do I need to do to get this worked on? And I don't necessarily tell them how to unplug this and unplug that, but I tell them what they can expect from a mechanic for it to cost and that kind of thing. So like, I've experienced this a few times. You know, we've had a car we've had to replace the catalytic converter on. It's not a cheap, depending on your car, especially. It's not a cheap fix. What year was your car?
2007.
2007 Pontiac G6.
Yeah.
This was several years ago now. Well, I mean, yeah, 7-8 years ago now, and it cost us $2,000 to fix it. So
insane.
It's not like our $200 tires, right? It's a very, very frustrating thing, and it might be even worse because sometimes people that do this, that perpetrate this crime, they'll get up and cut it out. So then you're having to replace more than you would think, and it's unfortunate for this person. But the extra bad luck for this person is that these people driving around doing this, they've done it so much, they know what cars are easiest to get them out from. So, you know, it's probably going to be a car that has the clearance you can crawl up under with your tools. It's going to be a car that is a certain model and make, and you know, that you can get under there. So I feel very sorry for this person, but like, it's just been a weird week for Goodwill talk, because I've had friends that also just had terrible weeks and found nothing. And I say all this to say I'm thankful our week's gone pretty well, because like, before we actually got out and thrifted this week, just all this stuff I'm talking about had come to my attention, and I was just like, maybe we should just stay home. But isn't that crazy?
So sad.
Yeah, well, I get afraid sometimes some people are going to come and just put my smart car in the back of their pickup truck, because 4 or 5 dudes could pick it up and put it in there.
I swear.
But yeah, that's bad luck. But we're gonna.
I guess. Well, a stolen car is under insurance. I doubt a stolen piece of a car is covered under insurance.
I don't think so. I wouldn't be surprised if there were insurance policies where you could pay premiums for extra things like that, but no, I don't. Our insurance certainly would not replace that. I googled it just so we can see at least what Google says. Will my insurance cover stolen parts besides paying out if your car is stolen? Comprehensive insurance provides coverage if a car part, like keys or catalytic converter, is taken during a theft. If your car is recovered or if only a part is stolen, comprehensive insurance will pay for the... Yeah, so higher-end insurance will, which we don't have. And I don't know if this person that had this happens watching. Certainly comment below if you are. Let us know if you did. I hope so. I absolutely hope you don't have to pay for that. But obviously, a lot of people that have this happen to them are going to have to pay for it out of pocket. And we didn't have it stolen. I don't know how clear I made that earlier. We drove a car to California and it just blew up. And
it was rough.
When you lose that converter, you lose. Most cars will lose power and stuff. So we actually drove from Denver to California with it messed up, and had a pretty hard time. And we had the car for a good little while after. You ended up wrecking it, right?
Yeah,
I got
wrecked. T-boned at a stoplight. I was turning left, and the girl ran a red light and ran into me. I was in front of a fire truck, so it it worked out that I didn't really have to make too much of a case to say it wasn't my fault. The fire truck was able to... Hello.
You kind of lucked out and had a fire truck behind you when you got wrecked.
Yeah, and they were just like, yeah, no, we saw the whole thing. She's totally in the clear. And I was like, thanks, guys.
It was very helpful because the people that wrecked her tried very hard to fight and say it was her fault.
Yeah, and they were like, she was on her phone. She was not paying attention.
Yeah, every time we heard back from the insurance, they were like, well, now they're saying you did this or did that. And it was like, and we were like, I don't know what. We were like, we don't know why they're trying. There was both, what do you want?
I mean, there was witnesses.
There was street witnesses. There was camera footage from the stoplight. Every stoplight here has cameras on it, and there was a witness fireman, which was the golden witness.
Yeah. first arrive on scene, like made sure everybody was okay and everything. Like they were
just right there. It was crazy. Like
Yeah.
that was the luckiest wreck you could have had.
I was I remember that so specifically because I was paying very close attention to the lights because that fire truck was behind me, and I was like, I mean, if they turn on their lights right now, like I gotta get the heck out of the way. And so I was really focused on like, okay, when that turns green, make sure you go, be paying attention. And so like the light turned green, I promptly went, and the girl also promptly went and hit me. So it was crazy.
Well, car trouble like this at any rate sucks. You don't want to play? Why are you back? He's back here making noise. Okay. I've only been in, I think one serious wreck, and it was the exact same situation as you. Sitting at a stoplight in my hometown. I know there's a few people watching my hometown, so imagine this. I'm driving west on 9th Street, crossing Frederica, which is one of the main big streets in my hometown. And I'm sitting there. There's a museum on my left. That's not important to the story, but I'm just setting the scene, right? And I'm in a work van. It wasn't even my vehicle. And it's red light, no big deal. And I get a green light, no problem. I roll out pretty slow because like I'm in this giant work van, doesn't accelerate very fast. And it's just amazing how slow I was going. I just drive across the street and I get into basically the second lane. And then boom! It's the exact kind of wreck you hear about where like you just don't expect it. I mean, it sucks when you're about to be in a wreck and you see it coming too, but like it's a whole different thing. When you got T-Bone, did you see it coming?
Oh yeah,
from
I was
way away.
You need to stop. Why are you not stopping? You're not stopping, and then she hit me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I had the opposite. I was just no care in the world. I was driving back to the office of the janitorial company I worked for, and then I just remember the slowest motion I've ever felt. Just this huge pain in my side, and I was spun. So I felt this motion just like this, and it was a very odd thing. I remember getting out of the car. It took some doing to get out of the van I was in because he hit me on my driver's side. And it bent the frame to where it was hard to open the door. So it hit me in my kidney, and it made my kidney bleed, and I probably made it worse because in my frantic like adrenaline, I had to pull the handle and horse kick the door open to get out. And then I got out, and I was like, it was one of those, the only time in my life I can ever recall thinking I might be seriously injured. I definitely need to get to the hospital because the pain wasn't going away. Serious pain. But I do remember the strangest thing about it, the cops and the firemen all show up. And luckily, this happened equidistant between a fire department and a police department. If you're from my hometown and you know the street, it's literally not even 2 blocks from the police department. So they got there quick, but they didn't come over to me for several minutes because they just didn't see what was going on. Because the guy that hit me was an elderly gentleman, so he definitely required more attention. But he hit me so hard, going so fast, and I didn't have any momentum at all. And he put my van across the street and into a parking lot.
Dang. So they didn't even know you were part of the wreck?
It did look like I was, and the car was turned around from the cop's point of view, so they couldn't tell what was going on. And that's the only serious wreck I've been in, but I had much better luck than you did because the gentleman got out of his car apologizing. He thought he was just trying to catch the yellow light, but he misjudged it so hard that he accelerated to. I don't know how to. I'm not a physicist. I don't know how to do the math, but he had to. It's 35. It was at the time a 35-mile speed limit there. He had to hit 50, 60 plus.
Yeah.
To send me as far as he did, and I feel really lucky too because it being on my driver's side, also it didn't hurt me any. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even that side that hit. I got hurt because I got thrown, and there's a. I hope they don't have these in their vans anymore because this pointed out a very serious flaw. There are these lock boxes. The janitorial service obviously could have a lot to do with keys and getting into buildings. So there were these tall, up to your side lock boxes that you had a key to so you could lock your keys inside of in case of theft. And me hitting that is what caused my injury. And I did have to go to the hospital. It didn't require anything serious. I had to take it easy for a few days. But I'm saying all this because, like, car troubles are just the worst. And I don't know. I think we've had pretty okay luck with cars. We haven't, really had to struggle too often. Maybe part of our luck is I've kind of just like, I'm a buy a $2,000 vehicle, drive it for a couple of years, and get another one kind of guy. That's been my strat for a long time, and I tend to buy things I know I can work on. Now, our smart car is not an example of this. It's the first time I've ever just bought a vehicle outside of practical reasons because I wanted it. And the rest of the vehicles we own or have owned have just been super calculated, practical decisions. So I'm hoping we don't have any more bad luck out of our smart car. Not that this is bad luck. You have to replace tires. That's if you don't see that coming every couple of years, you need to, because you're going to have problems. But the only other real problems we've had though is this is so funny, is batteries, because here in Phoenix, it's so funny. It's happened to me. We've been here long enough now, 4 years or so. It's happened to me every other 2 years, or basically every other year now, rather. I wake up, our car doesn't start. We take the battery, get it changed. It's happened more than 2 times now because now we have multiple vehicles. But here, battery won't last in this heat, no matter what you do, really, more than a couple years. So that first day of real heat hits, and your battery dies, you take it in to an AutoZone. This has happened to us a couple times now. And there's just carts and carts and carts full of dead batteries inside the AutoZone, because that's all they deal with that day. The same thing happens first time it rains in Phoenix every year. You go to get windshield wipers because you're like, oh, crap, I forgot these didn't work because I haven't used them in 2 years. They're just dry rotted. And they're out. Every AutoZone in town is out of windshield wipers. Every year this happens. And that's been a big part of the experience of living here with cars. And then you also see strange things around Phoenix, like people with parked cars, and they'll put slats of wood over their tires so that the sun won't cook them if they have to leave their vehicle setting for a long period of time.
The other thing I've noticed living in Phoenix that happens to the cars is windshields. The rocks on the highway are a serious thing here. You get rocks chucked at your windshield all the time. So everybody has a broken windshield. It's just what it is. Yeah,
no joke. Both of our cars we've had here have had semi-serious cracks, and it's a lot more common here. Matter of fact, this brings up another good point I want to get into. And I started to talk about this earlier, but I saved it for later. Uber, we hadn't had an Uber in forever, but our Uber we took yesterday was such a awesome experience. First of all, the car pulls up. It's like a very Fast and Furious wannabe.
Yeah.
It's just a kind of a pretty normal, I think it was like a Honda Civic, but it had the spoiler, it had the red trim, it had lots and lots and lots of extra add-ons that weren't necessary, but made it look like it almost like it wanted to be a skyline from the Fast and Furious. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'm into this, and we get in, and it almost seemed like a joke at first because it sounded like Fast and Furious music coming from it, but it wasn't. It was Puerto Rican rap and R&B and stuff. So if you watch Fast and Furious movies, that's kind of the vibe for a lot of the movies. But the gentleman driving was he was probably from Puerto Rico or something, but it was like there was a couple like, oh my God, what's going on? The music was playing, it was good, but it was music videos he was watching on the center console, and there were parts of the time we were driving, and I was watching him driving, looking down, and I was like, it's against the rules for sure. I mean, it's against the law. It's definitely against the Uber rules. But I was like, okay, it just was a strange experience because it was like, I thought it was like a weird Fast and Furious joke. And then I was like, okay, no, it's not a joke. And then, I don't know, it just kind of got weirder as it went on. And I hadn't been in an Uber in a long time. But the reason I thought of this to talk about now is because the windshield was terribly cracked. And which just reiterates what you said. In my hometown, if you're driving around, let's just say you got pulled over because your tail light was out or you were speeding, and the cop was mad at you, he very well might add to your ticket that you got to get that windshield replaced. A lot of, like when people noticed that our van had I wouldn't say a serious crack, but a crack on the lower half, well, it was like it started on this side, the driver's side, lower half, and kind of went up to the passenger side. And anytime we made a video and I accidentally turned the camera, or not accidentally, or in any way turned the camera on that window, it would be 10 comments on a video. Did you know your window was cracked? How dare you drive with that cracked window? Like some people, wherever you guys are from, so conditioned to just think it's super obstructive and the worst thing in the world. And it's not, unless it's really bad, and unless it's like a fracture, your view's not harmed or obscured. So we're much more numb to windshields being cracked because it just happens here, and we have interesting laws here to try to combat it and stuff. I don't know if you know this, but I think by law, I haven't figured this out. There's a lot of gray area here. I've been told, I've read that I should probably put mud flaps on our van, on our bread truck, because when it's dually wheels or it's above a certain weight, they require you to, because with the rock situation, how the highways are made and the different composition of the roads here, than the competition of the asphalt stuff is different because of the heat. So they just require certain trucks to have flaps. I haven't had to put them on, or I haven't had a cop try to enforce it because it's very clearly not a commercial vehicle. And I think maybe, I don't know. Don't take my advice if you live in Arizona on your big rigs, but it hasn't become a problem because I'm not a commercial vehicle. If I were and I were going through ADOT checkpoints, they'd be very much so enforcing it. But it hasn't been a problem. But I laughed at I kind of laughed at the windshield being cracked, but again, it wasn't too bad. I didn't worry about it. But I was like, what it makes me think is, I bet you because of some things like that, because I know when I signed up to do Uber, and I did it briefly when we lived in LA, it was a very strange thing, and this might give you a little bit more insight into Uber. Again, just my experience here. I go to sign up to do Uber. You have to take your car to get it inspected when you do this. And the first guy was like, "Oh no, I'm just going to fail you automatically, even though I'd already paid and everything." He goes, "Because you got a small crack in your windshield." And it was like a pebble. It was like, when you have a rock hit too hard,
ding,
just a little ding, and your tint's too dark. So go get your windshield fixed. Go get that patched or whatever. Go get the tint taken off your windows and come back. So I went home super discouraged because I didn't want to do either of those things. And we were in California and broke. Not only were we making way less money at the time, but also cost of living was considerably higher. So I go home discouraged. I'm like, what am I going to do? What else can I do to make money right now? And I finally just decided on a whim that next day to go to another Uber approval location, and they approved me with flying colors despite these things and didn't say a thing. Didn't even seem to really look at my car.
Guy was just a hard ass.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways in which my experience with Uber is different in different locations, and the intensity with which things are enforced are up and down. I would imagine with the crack on his windshield here, if he went to get it inspected and he had someone that was doing the inspection right, they might fail him. I don't know. Maybe you guys comment below if anybody watching is an Uber driver or anything. I've definitely heard tale of people watching this podcast, not watching but listening to it while doing some manner of what do you refer to Uber as? It's a
gig job,
gig economy type job. Yeah, exactly. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, let us know if you have any insight on these Uber things. But this is important to this conversation at large, because we just figured we'd talk about cars and vehicles and car troubles and stuff today, and that's the sum of it for us. But once we get our smart car fixed and stuff, it'll probably be another 2 years before we have to take an Uber again. On the plus side, though, it was very easy to call the Uber. I still have the Uber app on my phone. Just it's kind of an emergency thing. And it didn't miss a beat. I just called the ride despite not having used it for 2 years. My credit card was there. No problems. So I am thankful for that. It is still a good tool to have. It did cost after I tipped the guy well. I tipped him $10, so our $15 ride was $25. And there's part of us that still feel very much so like broke teenagers. So that kind of extra expense, well, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but you're more just like, it's $25 we don't have to spend, and I'm like, $25 I could have spent on the new Pokemon expansion. But yeah, it did suck to have to, because now our after we Uber back for another 25, or if it's like spike time, it's probably like a $35 ride back because it's gonna be closer to noon and stuff. It adds a little bit extra expense, but I'm not going to complain because I'm so happy those tires aren't more expensive than they are.
Yeah, that does help. I mean, he quoted us one price. It was going to be about $300, and then he was like, "Oh, actually, I misread." And then he quoted us a different price, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's literally $100 difference."
It was like $160 cheaper, and I think, I don't think he was having a bad day or anything. I think the confusion of it being a smart car was like he didn't know they hadn't had too many of those come through because it is just so much smaller. I guess the wheels on it are 15s though, and I do feel like I perhaps have owned a car before with 15s, so maybe it's just not as odd as I thought. But you get into a lot of other little weird things whenever your car is this small. So like it has much wider tires on the back than it does on the front too. Not wider, not even much, but like the car's designed that the tread on the back is a little fatter than the front. So he's like, well, do you want these same ones or do you want these fatter ones? And he came to the conclusion, and I don't know, I'll have to research this before this comes up again, but apparently the back has to have the slightly wider tires, but it was okay because they were cheaper. The thin ones were more expensive, so it wasn't a worry. So I got what the factory recommends on it, but this is honestly the problem with cars, and with car trouble is that there are so many models, and a lot of times you can get lucky, in certain things that you have to fix or repair boil down to the year of the car's manufacturing, right? But it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you have the upgraded model. Sometimes you have something that's already been fixed, and so you have to worry about what's on it. And it just turns into a giant mess that I think normal, average people that don't have any extra experience with vehicles just lose their mind over, And that's why, like, I have a few friends that any little weird noise their car makes, they're asking me what's wrong, and it's like, I'm again not a mechanic. I've never rebuilt an engine, but I've replaced anything on a drive belt. I've replaced, I've fixed suspensions, and I've fixed the stuff that you can realistically keep going with a jack and a wrench. That's the truth. So I'll have these friends, as I've mentioned a couple times in this podcast, that will say, "Oh, what's wrong? What do you think?" And my answers are usually more like, "Well, it's either this, or this." And if I would take it to a mechanic and ask these questions, and I give them the way out, because a lot of people, and you could probably speak to this because you're not as experienced with cars, but like a lot of people just hear car problems and they're just like, "Oh no."
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's how I feel about it. I'm like, I don't know what that does. I don't know what that's gonna cost. I don't know how to fix that. I can't fix it. That's for sure.
Right.
So it's just like this like path to panic. Anytime something goes wrong with the car, I'm like, no, I can't pay for this. I don't want to pay for this.
Yeah. And it's true. I mean, because like the average layperson, or maybe even some of you watching, think about your kids if they're out on their own in California, a few years removed from home. It's like, my starter went out. A kid's not going to know if that's going to cost $200 or $1,000 to fix it. You know what? There's cars out there that it'll be $1,000 between parts and labor. Luckily, I've replaced. That's probably the part I've replaced the most is a starter. It's not that expensive, but it's very often not very much room for your hands. I've bloodied up my knuckles so many times replacing a starter. But it sucks. It sucks that it's as hard as it is to learn to work on cars. And I've only gotten where I'm at through, 20 years now of just kind of trial and error and being forced to do it because I was so broke, But I don't know. It's also why I keep now buying older vehicles, and I'm just kind of continuing this cycle. If you can afford to go buy a nice new vehicle and upgrade it every few years, you're not going to have as much mechanical problems. If you're lucky. Obviously, some of you might have had worse luck than what I'm currently retelling, but I feel very lucky to have been able to get this far and never really been stranded without a vehicle, And sometimes it took some duct tape and tie wire to get it done, to get myself to the to the mechanic shop to fix something more serious, but I'm glad all we've got today is tire trouble. Though we do have a sensor that's gone bad in our smart car, which I wasn't going to get into, but since we're here and knee deep in a conversation about car repair, the thing that frustrates me about newer vehicles, and this is what's happening on this smart car, there's a little sensor that controls when the fan goes on and off in front of the radiator, and it can control some things with your air conditioner too. So our air conditioner is only working in our car when we're on the highway and going. Of course, it's real hot, so every stoplight right now we're having to roll down the windows, and it just sucks. And it's unfortunately the part's pretty difficult to get to in the smart car. It's you have to unplug some stuff, and it's up behind the alternator, and the space is already really confined. It's not really an expensive part. I don't know how much it might cost me to pay the mechanic shop to replace it, but it's something we got to get done real soon. Especially like if we want to take another trip to Vegas or down to Texas or something real soon. Like, I'm not going to do it without that repaired, because you don't want your cooling system going nuts while you're driving long distance. But it's frustrating, because if that were what was wrong and had to be fixed in our bread truck right now, there's a wrench sitting right off camera right there. It would take me 5 minutes to replace.
Yeah,
because it's an old mechanical beast. And this is probably one of my more finer points I want to make in this conversation. My days of being able to cleverly fix things in cars are quickly ending, because I can't cleverly fix too much on my smart car, because it's so modern and so electrical. It's a very heavily wired little car, and it's not even as bad as our Scion was. It's just so electrically computer driven. I mean, so much so to the fact that this was such a strange thing with our old Toyota. You would take the battery off for whatever reason to change something and put it back on, and the car would drive funny for a long time because its computer memory banks had basically been reset, and it had to relearn its own efficiency. So it would go, okay, well, here's what's happening now. It would kind of record data on its own for the first 200 miles, and then it would drive different, which was always so strange, because it's a robot. That car was a robot when all is said and done.
Yeah.
And our little smart car's like that too. That's it's the only downside. We make a lot of jokes in our videos about our smart car, because it's just this cute little mousy vehicle to us that we do thoroughly enjoy driving. And sometimes we have to carry stuff that's slightly bigger, and we don't think about it very much, but we'll make a joke about it on video, and then I'll get it's not intense, but it's always one person or two people that are just like, "You're so stupid. Why would you thrift in that way? What?" And yeah, we don't give any second thought, but it's always there. People just don't get it. Usually it's on Instagram, just like, I don't understand. But other than that, other than just, I hate that it's such a complicated, tight-packed little modern age car.
Yeah.
Other than that, I really love it.
Yeah.
And people think I should get rid of it because of the size, and I don't want to not have that smart car. But the thing that's going to end up being really annoying about it is, as it gets closer to its 200,000 miles, mechanical stuff with it is going to really suck. So I might just flip that thing too and buy another one for a couple grand or something. I don't know. I kind of want to do that already, because the other thing I don't like about it is that it's convertible.
Yeah. I mean, when we first got it, we thought it might be nice. We'd have that extra headspace. We'd have the way to load things from the top and all that. That has been really nice.
It has. A lot of stuff we've brought home wouldn't have been able to come home.
Right.
Pick him up. He's not going to stop meowing.
Buddy.
Oh, now he's going to run away.
Come here.
Our cat wants attention. It's nice. I quite like it, but from a mechanical, getting it fixed standpoint, I'm not as fond of it. Do you want love now?
He wants love so bad.
I've tried to play with you earlier. Well, you guys are lucky. We have not made this an audio podcast yet, which we will. We're getting 500 or 600 views a week. I bet there's probably 10 or 20 of you guys that wouldn't mind it. If this is the case, let me know. Wouldn't mind rather listening to this on, during your workout or something, or in your car or something. A lot of people have commutes, and the number one listen to for commuters these days is podcasts. What are you doing?
He was rubbing your laptop.
But I'm saying this because, if this were audio podcast right now, we'd have to explain to you guys what's happening, but it's not. But we're going to get there. We're trying to get this channel to 1,000 subs, so subscribe if you haven't already. Before we start doing a lot of stuff. Like, we want to do live shows and some other things, but we figured we'd kind of wait till monetization, and we're like 60-70% of the way there. You should stay on the table for every podcast, Pants, and be our mascot.
He would never.
You know who doesn't like cars?
Pants.
Pants.
And Momo.
Cats.
They do not like them at all.
I've definitely seen cats that like car rides, and in this YouTube sphere of van lifers and van conversion people, there are definitely people that have their cats on the road, and there are cats that love it. But I'm sure even those cats that love it, it takes a little bit of adapting. You should face that way, Toby. They would love to see what you're doing. There you go. Look that way.
Mm-hmm.
You just go, yeah, just lay down there, buddy. It was so goofy. What's he looking at? My foot?
I can't do that.
You can't?
My toe is right here.
I have no problems. I've got very long legs. Actually, well, So, I don't know. We can wrap up this conversation about cars because it is basically past noon now, and they haven't called, so I'm going to call them. And we're going to go get our car. I don't know, maybe we'll update you on next week's episode on how it went. But I'm excited to go get it. I don't know what we're going to go do today. Our plans have kind of changed. I just had a buddy of mine text me and notify me that today is the toy convention here in town. And I grabbed, where were we? I grabbed a flyer for it.
We were at the collector's marketplace.
Yeah, a really cool toy store here in town had a flyer for it. And I took it and I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to that. And then today I had no idea it was today, and we got that message. So if we go get our car and we're leaving there and there's still several hours to go look at the toys, maybe that's what we'll go do today. But if you're watching this episode, the day that it's posted, it's always the day before our main channel episode. So you might be in for a nice surprise. It might be a surprise Toy-Con trip for tomorrow's episode. But if not, tomorrow's episode will be some good old regular Ben's thrifting, which I'm excited about. We've already shot it. I've just got to edit it, but I'm holding off now because we might just go do that Toy-Con first.
Yeah, if we can get there.
Pants, they're not gonna let you in. Your butt's all that's on camera. Turn around so they can see you.
Come here, bud.
He doesn't understand cameras.
Come here.
There he goes.
He's coming. Hey, puppy. You're a good boy.
That's funny. Well,
Speaking, his butt's on the other side.
Speaking of which, though, our very first popular series of videos on this channel was a video game convention.
Yeah.
It really gave us momentum and got us started. And I don't think we're going to go do a toy convention video. It's going to blow up or anything. But I want to go just see what kind of stuff it has. We might get there and it be all Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, and stuff, which would be cool. But like, if there's anybody there with dolls,
yeah, they have a whole Bratz doll table.
That's not going to happen, but it'd be cool. And I kind of feel the same way with some of the other stuff I'm more interested in collecting right now. If it had some Furbies, I might buy a Furby. If they had some trading card stuff, I might buy some trading card stuff. I don't know, but we're going to go see. But we are going to wrap this up here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out with us. Come back for next week's podcast. We'll have some more constructed conversation next week, and also at some point we're going to start doing live shows on this channel. I don't know if we'll start by doing this podcast live and still just do what we're doing, but add you guys' conversation into the conversation, or exactly what we'll do. But things are going to change as we move closer to 1,000 subs. We've definitely got way more plans for this, and I think if you've been watching us for long enough, you're going to understand why, because we always did live shows on our other channel and then kind of stopped, and we just want to move the extra stuff off our main channel, so that's what this channel is for. So expect some more fun coming up, and definitely comment below before you get out of here and let us know how your car troubles have gone. If you're a mechanical person and can fix things, or it's fine. Admit it. If you don't know how to change a tire, just let us know where the state of your car knowledge is. I don't like those people that are like that. Are just like, oh, you can't, you don't change your own oil. You don't.
I bet you have other talents.
Yeah.
Like me. You don't know how to sew?
Yeah.
What's wrong with
you? It doesn't make any more sense. People get like that, though. And car knowledge is helpful, but obviously it's not necessary. It's becoming less necessary because you have to be a rocket scientist these days to fix them.
And there's things like AAA. Why not call somebody to like come and change your tire on the side of the road?
Just pay for your insurance. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. Hit the subscribe button before we get out of here. Turn those notifications on. Pretty please. Help us get to 1,000 subs. And check out our main channel video tomorrow for some awesome thrifting and or GameCon. Until then, guys, peace out. GameCon. I said GameCon. ToyCon. Now, peace out.